This is Twit.
I have to say, I was a little nervous. I happened to be on Twitter the other day, and that's enough to be nervous just in general.
It is.
In particular, because of a tweet that I saw fly by, Mary Jo, about our beautiful Surface Laptop 3s and potential issues for the screens cracking. What's going on?
I know. I'm telling you, when you're an owner of a device and you see this come through, it doesn't make you feel too good. Yeah, so there's people on Reddit, Microsoft Answer Forum, and now I'm hearing from people directly out there on the internet who say they have a brand new Surface Laptop 3 and they haven't dropped it, they haven't slammed it down, they haven't had any kind of a bumping issue with it, and they're noticing either a hairline crack along the corner or sometimes a crack across the entire screen that just have spontaneously shown up.
Ooh.
So we should give Mikah the good news, though.
I know. You're safe, Mikah, probably, because everybody who's reporting it has an aluminum Surface Laptop 3.
And who would be dumb enough to not get a Surface Laptop without Alcantara?
Now, I have to say,
right here,
Mary Jo, I had an out loud cackle when I was reading your article and you said knock on aluminum. That was a great line, so props for that. But here you can see me feeling my fine Alcantara.
A little too much, frankly.
Yeah, I'm getting a little uncomfortable too, honestly. And that may be what's keeping my laptop safe. I will say whenever I covered the event where they announced these new laptops, and I remember the moment where they were bragging about the lack of the little rubberized sort of rim or seal around the outside of the laptop screen as sort of, that was a feature.
Right.
And that was because of the way that they'd precisely engineered it to where you can open it and close it with one finger while you're playing the piano with your other hand or something like that.
Yeah, but make sure the finger's in the middle, not in the corner, because apparently that might be
that's a bad spot.
Part of the issue. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean,
it's got to be a flex problem. You know, like a.
That's what people are saying. Yeah.
Well,
some people say they're hearing this cracking sound sometimes when they open it. And then some people have said they noticed a flex and then suddenly the screen cracks.
Oh, Lord. So then go ahead.
Well, I don't know. Is this impacting both 13 and 15-inch versions or just one?
So I've only heard from 13s so far.
That's ours.
Which is interesting.
So I wonder if they made an internal change there to trim the weight maybe, or
one person. So, okay, first we should say this is not widespread because I haven't heard from everybody who has a Surface Laptop 3, and it also has not affected me. But we don't know how many people, and Microsoft, of course, is not saying how many people. But one person I saw on one of the places where people are reporting problems guessed something that I thought made a lot of sense. He said, I wonder if it has to do with Microsoft removing the gasket between the glass and the metal when they took the Alcantara out.
Yeah. And let me ask you, because Mary Jo, you have one that that is just the aluminum, and you mentioned that you haven't kept it protected or any type of extra safe or anything like that, and it's still causing these issues. So,
no, for me though,
you're not having the problem, right?
Yeah, you would think me, right? Because I'm just like literally throwing it in a large purse and taking it with no sleeve. And I've also noticed my cat has started jumping up on here.
Whoa!
Yeah, but I don't think the problem is when you're carrying it around. I think the problem is opening and closing it.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you're probably not doing that in a, like the gorilla in those Samsonite ads where he's jumping up and down in the luggage or whatever.
Right. I'm not.
You're probably pretty gentle with it.
I am, but I see people who are reporting this saying, I'm not somebody who slams my laptop open or closed and I baby it. And it's so we don't really have any sense of how widespread, why it's happening to some people and not others. But we do know as of yesterday that Microsoft said they're investigating it. And that's the first time they've said that. They said a limited number of customers have contacted us and reported screens cracking through no fault of their own. And we are evaluating the situation and investigating the root cause of the claims.
Do you think Microsoft, under any circumstances, would say an astronomical number of customers have contacted us?
No company.
No. But, I would say both you and I would have heard from an astronomical number of people on Twitter and email if this was happening to a lot of people, right?
Right.
Right.
That makes sense.
I would think.
So here's
You're
my one sort of issue. If we've seen it only in the ones that are aluminum, or as far as it seems so far, then how is it an opening sort of screen issue? Because this screen is not affected by the
touching it.
Alcantara.
You're going to break it. What are you doing?
You're right. What am I thinking? I need to, I don't know, wear gloves.
How many
when I
news
open it.
reports do you have to read?
How come it seems that the ones that have Alcantara are not being affected? Is there different? I wonder if there's a difference in the actual build of the product between my version and your version.
That's really
aside
weird,
from just the
That's
felt.
got to be a weird coincidence. I remember I used to live out west, and we would get the engine steam cleaned on the car, and then the oil would leak. And so before the grease covering the engine actually held the oil inside, and like maybe that's the role that Alcantara plays.
I kind of love that theory.
It holds it together, you know.
The
guys are all dumping on it because it's got like Cheetos in the wrist rest, but actually that's the thing that's holding it together. It's the glue.
So fun. It's a coincidence that you bring that up because I've been researching getting my engine steam cleaned, so it's really odd that you bring that up today.
So the motto is do not.
Do not steam clean your engine or the oil will leak.
Well, we had an older car, but I mean, you know, at the time it was just disappointing because literally it was holding in oil from dripping out of the engine.
Oh my goodness. So what do? We just hope against hope? Is that the solution for
Well, some people are bringing the laptops into Microsoft stores or the places they bought them, and they're saying, hey, this happened to me and I didn't cause it. And am I under any kind of a warranty? Am I going to have to replace it? And right now, the agents who are responding online and in stores are telling people you're liable for it and you've got to replace it and we're not paying for it. My guess is if this is something Microsoft can document, they're not going to say that, because I don't know if you guys remember this, but in 2018, there were some problems with flickering screens on Surface Pro 4s, and Microsoft ended up replacing the devices for free in the end. Right. So I think if this really is something they can prove is a pattern and not the fault of users, I think they're going to have to replace them for free. That would be my guess.
I will say this too, because obviously in the Surface world, we're all familiar with the problems of 3.5 years ago, whenever that was, 3-4 years ago, whatever, with Surface Pro 4, and especially with the first gen Surface Book, massive reliability problems that they never really got on top of. But one of the big problems with that event initially was just how silent Microsoft was. Yeah. So I will say at the very least, like this time they've acknowledged it, what seems like very early on. And I take that as a hopeful sign too.
Me too. I think I saw some reports of this dating back to January, but they were very isolated, and now they're kind of piling on, right? And so now that the press has picked up on this.
Yeah, we haven't been talking about this since November, right? And then all of a sudden they finally say something. I mean, it seems like they did jump on it fairly early. So I will at least give them credit for that. I mean, you remember it's a hard computer science problem was one of the things that had come out of that initial event. I mean, it's not like that, at least not yet. So that's a positive sign. It is.
And they're at a point in their Surface history where you don't want this to start happening, right? Because they're starting to get people liking their devices, and they pass the Consumer Reports hurdle that they had, and I think they know if this really is an issue, they've got to be on top of it, and they've got to get to the agents in the field and tell them, stop telling customers it's their problem, right? And tell them we're looking at it, and hold on, don't panic. So I'm trying not to panic, but I'm kind of panicking. Like every morning now, I open my Surface Laptop 3 and I put my hands on the screen. Like, are there any cracks?
Yeah, I got to make sure there are no dust particles anywhere on it, so that if you press it, oh boy,
don't get any crumbs in there.
Don't be eating Cheetos over this thing.
Oh man, but the Alcantara is great for rubbing your Cheeto dust on.
That's right.
Darn it.
No, you are okay, Mikah, because I haven't seen anybody with Alcantara saying that this is a problem for them. I haven't seen a single person say that.
Weird.